After the previous lessons on HTML, we now know how to structure our data. But it still looks pretty ugly, so we need CSS. Before we start learning all the rules of CSS, it would be helpful if we quickly cover its background. Like HTML, CSS started at CERN. When Tim Berners-Lee first created HTML, he also made a simple style sheet system unrelated to CSS that he never published. Because there was no standards for styling that were agreed upon by everyone, web browsers in the early 90s were allowed to choose their own styling systems. Most were pretty basic, and no one was really satisfied. In 1994, another employee at CERN proposed CSS, Cascading Style Sheets. You can see his name on the slides here, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce it because I don't speak Norwegian. By 1996, CSS was officially released. The word cascading in CSS comes from the fact that multiple style sheets can overlap with each other and overwrite each other. What do I mean by that? Well, if you're visiting a web page and the default font size, meaning the size of the letters and the words, is set to 16 pixels, you're able to override that and make it larger by changing your browser's settings. So the web page's style sheets and your own personal web browser settings cascade on top of each other. Remember, all of our browsers have some default styles coming from the user agent style sheet. Usually, a web page's style sheet gets priority over the user agent style sheet, but when you manually change settings in your browser, such as the font size, that will get priority over a web page's style sheet. So all these different styles cascade down on top of each other, and they all have to work together somehow. That's why it's called cascading style sheets. We'll have a whole lesson on exactly how the cascading of the styles works later on. Don't worry about it too much for now. Go ahead and flip over to the next lesson, and we'll start learning the rules of CSS in detail so that we can change the styles of our web pages.